his way. Hey, rock the cornet, come on, secret. Hey, rock the dons back to les filles.
Welcome to Upper Lafayette on the Move. I'm Jan Swift. I'm really honored to welcome today's guest, Councilman Kenneth Boudreaux, District 4, Lafayette City Parish Councilman.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. We've talked about this for a while, and
long overdue.
Yeah, it's long overdue. So thank you for making time in your busy schedule. Here we are, the beginning of February. It's almost Mardi Gras, and it seems like there's a lot going on in our community. So
there is.
Yeah.
There is, and all good. Thank God.
Good. So before we jump into that, would you please give us your background, where you went to school, your family, whatever you'd like to share with us.
Absolutely. Of course, I was born and raised in Lafayette, native Lafayette. Like we used to say in the old days, a Northside boy. I went to Northside High School, went to the local university when it was still USL, graduated there. Just kept my family in that same vicinity, if you would. I am married with 3 children, a couple of twins graduating from Northside High School this year, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So just a lifelong resident. I worked 20 years at the District Attorney's Office in youth services and programs. Have always pretty much worked with youth organizations or children's service type organizations. And of course, I've been on the council since 2008, which has been a blessing and an honor, both at the same time. And I'm really enjoying that time, and just got brought back for my 3rd and final term as I term out. To complete what I view as a journey, something that we started in '07 to try to facilitate some change. So just really excited about where we are, in particular in our region here in Upper Lafayette, but Lafayette as a whole. I started off this by saying that, anything that's good for any part of Lafayette is good for Lafayette.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm very optimistic about some things that we got going on, and hopefully we could talk about some of those today.
Yeah, so District 4 is the north side, as you say, and I live by UL. I'm in your district. It's a large district.
It's a very large district. It has a very interesting configuration, if you would.
Yeah.
It's very diverse, but I like to reference it as the Northeast Corridor because we actually go to the eastern boundary to St. Martin Parish. We touch that boundary. We're as far north as Maryview Farm Road, but we kind of dog-leg out. But as you say, coming back into town, the Evangeline Thruway, the connector area, we kind of split there from Districts 3, and then the riverside of Pinhook, which is how I would reference the area you're in. We kind of dogleg through Freetown, Puerto Rico, and then kind of catch the riverside of Pinhook and wrap all the way back around the airport property and whatnot. So it's a very unique district. It's classified as a minority district, but I often tell people, economically, I say I have some residents that has values of homes maybe as low as $4,000, and I have some as much as $400,000 in greater. We have a number of great schools in the district. Typically, when I talk about the district, I like to talk about education and not schools. Because although we constantly trying to improve Northside and J.W. Falk, but we have great schools like Turlin's Catholic and Thibodeau Tech and St. Genevieve and St. Leo Seton and Immaculate Heart of Mary have a really good faith-based community, both Catholic and Protestant and independent churches. So just so dynamic, so diverse, a lot of substance, if you would, a lot of character. And I think it's the best district in the entire parish.
It is a great district. I wouldn't trade where I live. I mean, it's so convenient.
It is.
When I think about the traffic issues that other people face, we're fortunate.
Very fortunate, very fortunate. Very close proximity. Obviously, the I-10 and I-49 both run through the district at some point. We got good access to the river, as you know, the rail, as well as the airport. So for transportation needs in any form, we're right there. And I want to kind of create a traffic problem if we could. Excuse me. I would like to create a traffic problem with some additional development, but our development has been a little slow in coming. But I could tell you over the last 8 years, it has improved tremendously.
I think so too. We were talking before the interview began. And I'd like to just say a couple of things before we do about talking about TIFs and development. You have served in various leadership positions on the council, and I want to thank you for that. I know you've served 5 times as finance
Yeah, actually,
chair.
and I'm finance chair again this year, so this is my sixth of I guess 9 years that I've served as finance chair. I've been professional services chair 5 times, and I tell you, Jan, that's intentional. Not that being a council member isn't enough responsibility in itself, but when you get into leadership roles, I think it also garners you some additional respect, not only by your colleagues, but by the community. And it shows people that you really want to work and serve, and it gives me a really good feel and insight on everything that's going on, because you know the budget is huge. It's you know a $700 million budget. So to be the finance person from the council who is really actively involved in that process daily is beneficial when it comes to projects for our community and how we spend and where we spend. So yes, I appreciate that, and for my constituents like yourself and so many others, I think that's encouraging to them as well, to see that their council member is not only in the position, but he's serving in a greater
Over
capacity.
And above. Yeah. And you were chair of the council for two terms, 2 years. So
yes.
And there may be another one. Who knows?
You never know.
Right.
You never know.
Right. So thank you for that. But in your capacity as District 4 councilman, you have been a part of some of the progressive issues that have come about, like the Sterling TIF district that brought in at I-10 and Louisiana Avenue. That to me was one of the biggest, like a seal of approval for a big time investment to come in. That was really a groundbreaker.
It was
in so
huge.
many ways.
It was huge. The benefit that our community has reaped from that particular development still has yet to be measured. It's that great. That started before I got on the council. Obviously, we kind of finished it up, if you would. And since that time, we have put measures in place to build and expand upon that in a positive way. We both know and we've experienced where we certainly want to be very fiscally responsible in what we do, but the issue of taxes, as sensitive as it is part of the operation of government. And I think that when you can show and display to the people that you will only do what is absolutely necessary, and whatever collections that you have, you're going to use them very appropriately, both legally, ethically, but even appropriately by their standard, I think you could do some great things, and that's what has happened. The developments there, we have a lot of potential that's taken place. The I-10 Louisiana Avenue intersection in itself is just one of the most talked about areas in all the parish. And we have some things that we hope to see coming very, very soon that will take us over the top. You know, I often tell people, you know, working through this government a lot of times is like climbing that hill, and sometimes it's a struggle and it's a challenge, but right when you get at that top, that downward slope is so much better, and we're almost there, and the impact is going to have on the entire region. Okay.
Oh yeah, because
from a regional perspective. Yes,
yeah.
ma'am. I have the fortune of visiting with people in Grand Coteau and Sunset and Brobridge. That's their shopping location. It's not just about the residents of Lafayette. And then, of course, everyone who's accessing getting to Florida when they're vacationing in the summer months, trying to get to Texas to visit family. That is the point of destination, and we need to take advantage of that.
I know people were worried about adding that, you know, extra penny, but it hasn't done anything, but sales have been booming.
Very positive.
The TIF was more productive, I think, than anyone had anticipated, and I've even heard that Target wished they had made it a super Target because it's done so well.
Yes, a number of the stores who developed, I think they undershot, if you would. They would have hoped that they, like you say, a super Target rather than the Target itself, and some even larger stores. I mean, Academy, one of the better performing academies in the area. Chick-fil-A, the #1 Chick-fil-A in the state of Louisiana. I mean, the accolades.
That.
Yeah, the accolades goes on and on. I mean, they wasn't in business 3 years, and they had to expand their drive-through lanes. You know, I mean, it's incredible.
That's a work of art, watching them.
Is.
Two lines.
I love it. I've always aspired to have that in my community, to see all of these functions and activities. You know, you travel and you say, oh man, look at this. You got steakhouses and retail sales and AT&Ts and all of this. So I go sometimes just to watch the function of people utilizing all of these facilities, whether you need some toiletry immediately for your home, or to see an out-of-town family passing through. Everybody stays in the vehicle and someone just runs into the store and grabs something, or you need to get service on your cell phone. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, we're waiting for that, you know, movie theater and some other things. So
Yes.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Keep
for
those
one
fingers
day.
crossed.
Yeah.
Add us into the prayer list.
Right.
But yeah, we're going to continue to work hard to try to deliver those things.
Well, thank you for that. And, you know, I'd like to get your thoughts, too, on the I-49 connector. We've been reading in the paper, seeing things on the news, I guess, about the 5.5-mile stretch, which is really, you know, a lot of it is just right in your district.
It is.
And the investment could be, I guess the numbers seem inflated, but they're not. $750 million to $1 billion investment in Lafayette.
Yes.
Right
and
down
you know,
Lafayette.
and I tell you this, sometimes it's difficult for people to wrap their arms around the investment, only because sometimes we've had investments made that didn't produce good quality results. I think we have an opportunity to win here where we could avoid that. I will say this, I am a supporter of the connector, okay? I think there are still a number of unanswered questions. And I will be taking measures. I have asked the state, I have asked local authorities to say, look, we need to get some really good factual and realistic information out there. There are things that we hear, as you know, you've attended a number of the meetings, you've coordinated meetings, things like records of decision.
Right.
You know, what does that mean to a layperson, okay? When we talk about the alignment, you know, what does that mean? Is there an option to move or relocate, or has those things been locked in, the interchanges? I don't think, it is my opinion, that we have not done a good enough job of explaining those things so we could kind of move the conversation forward. Okay?
I agree.
We have the environmental concerns that many have legitimately expressed. And some people say that maybe the cart is in front of the horse on this, as far as when do you determine if there's contamination, if there's a problem that could hinder construction. Well, you know, we have an environmental department within the state of Louisiana. Unlike on a private project or a local project, there's a department that could determine all of these things. And I'm confident that they would not construct a $1 billion project over a contaminated area.
Right,
okay?
and destroy our quality of life.
Exactly, and impact our water supply, and the list goes on and on. So, but this is what has been lost in the conversation, and I've grown up one block from that location, okay, is that what we have now, it's not acceptable. It doesn't work. So all of the things that people have expressed concern about, which I agree with, exist today. Okay, there's not very good connectivity from the east side of the interstate or the roadway to the west side, okay? Right. Downtown in Freetown, Puerto Rico to Macomb and Visa and those areas. That's separate now, and I tell you, I have crossed that throughway many, many times in my young life. It is dangerous.
Were you on a bike or trying to run across?
I've done both.
You take your life in your hands.
It is. The church that I was born and raised in is at the corner of 12th Street and the Thruway, and I was telling some folks earlier, the distance between the travel lane and the outer wall of our church was a sidewalk. Okay?
So any
you
little
could go
mishap,
there today
yeah.
and see that. Okay? And when we wanted to access whether it was like a Mama's Fried Chicken or a Church's Fried Chicken, or if we needed to get downtown to Greenwood Shoes, whether it was on bike or foot, you had to measure your steps and count and project and do. You had to be a physics professor to make sure you could get across there without getting hit. So it's not safe today. It's not connected today. There is no development taking place today. So an investment has a chance of having a positive effect, but no investment, we know nothing changes.
Right,
Okay? So
right.
it's about how do we make sure it's done right? And I think that's the conversation we should be having. Okay? We have to wrap our arms around what decisions are entrenched and cannot change, and what can change, and that's what we need to be working on to make sure that we create the best possible facilities available. And then, of course, for me, a huge concern is the liveliness underneath the interstate. Wherever we're elevated, that's a huge concern. I've heard it, I understand it, I see it. When I go to Baton Rouge, when I go to New Orleans, when I go to Lake Charles, I see that. I don't want that. I think there is a way to build in the activity and something that is moving and breathing and alive to prevent those things from happening and very secured. Okay? But I could take you now to a place we're all familiar with, Pontiac Point. We have a beautiful green space at Pontiac Point. Okay? But it's not secured and it's not active. So in certain times of the year, we have a homeless population that goes there for their comfort. The lights have been busted out so they won't be disrupted at night.
Right.
I get it. So how do we correct that? We bring life into that area. We secure it to prevent any access outside of the activity times, and we keep moving. But to consider doing nothing, I personally do not think that's an option.
I agree. And I think the big thing that needs to be done right now is what you're talking about. Get the facts out.
The facts.
And not just have one-sided discussion.
That's correct.
I've asked a lot of questions. It's probably not as many as you've been. And I just don't seem to get answers. People are like, I don't know. Well, we can find out, and these, this has happened in other communities.
It has.
They have railroads across the country. This is not just
That's
a
right.
Lafayette, Louisiana
and I think
issue.
what it's going to take, and I tell you this, I'll say this is the first place I've ever said it. I commit to getting those answers. Okay? The time for the workshops have been expanded. And I have been in communication with DOTD. I've been in communication with our mayor president. I've been in communication with those who are managing our Tiger Grant. And I am committed to getting those answers sooner than later, okay? And to deal with the facts. Now, when all the facts are out, and this is the issue, when all the facts are set on the table, this community is going to have to make a decision. Do we want it or not? And what we know is that if we reject this money is going to be spent in the state of Louisiana somewhere.
But
It's going to be in Lake
here.
Charles. It's going to be in East Baton Rouge. It's going to be in New Orleans. Lafayette would have missed out again. That's number one. And number two is that what we have today is what we're going to continue to live with, which we all agree is unacceptable.
Right.
Because nothing good is really taking place now.
Right.
So we just have to get the facts out. I think if we do that and we make the adjustments where we legally can, where the courts would allow to deviate from the record of decision that was 15, 20 years ago,
Right.
because at that time that may have been the good thing to do. A lot has changed, I agree.
Right.
And I think some of the project concepts and features need to change along with it. But I also know that we are bonded by records and decisions and what is legal and what is proper and how other governments, state and federal in particular, how they function and operate.
Yeah.
I have to respect that.
It is a tangled web.
It is.
Well, I pledge to work with you, and I think for this project, unlike in the past, it can't just be business or it can't just be elected officials. It has to be the community that lives there, as well as our elected officials, the business community, families,
and Jen,
people.
that's a challenge. That's a challenge. And it's still a mystery on how we get people motivated and encouraged.
Have you found out any secrets that I don't know about?
None. You could almost do it all. You could incentivize, you could feed, you can, you could sometimes bring it to the doorstep. And unfortunately, it's difficult sometimes to engage. And a lot of it ties back to history. A lot of it ties back to trust. We got to overcome that. And that's where we are in need of people of influence to step up, take some folks by the hand and help them along the way. But at the same time, I will not let the consultants off the hook. We are paying a lot of money to get a product delivered. Okay.
Which is delivering the information to people.
So they also should have the skill set to reach out to communities as they are and where they are to get the results that we desire. So it's going to take a combination. We had a really good meeting recently at Progressive Baptist Church, but I think what I'm hearing you saying, what I agree with, is that although the crowd was good, was the right people there. Okay.
That'll go back and be set on fire and spread the message. Yeah.
And who are impacted, like you said, in neighborhoods. You know, it has to be. I've always gone forward with this. I guess this ideal is that, you know, businesses are nothing without people, and people are nothing without businesses, because, you know, we need somebody to provide the goods and services, but we also need someone to consume them.
Right.
Okay, so it's a partnership whether we like it or not. And I agree with you. We have to make sure we engage in the right people.
I'm excited about that Senior Pastoral Alliance. I went to the event. I saw your brother. I don't know if I didn't see you Sunday.
No, you know, Sunday
there were
evenings I
thousands
do a
of
radio
people.
talk show. Yeah, on Sundays I tell people Sunday's like a work day for me.
Yeah.
I do church service at 9 o'clock. I have my first radio program at 11 o'clock. I'm lucky if I could get lunch and hang out with the family a little bit. And then I'm back for my second show for 7 o'clock. And as you know, with production, you have to have some advance time. So, no, I was not there, but I have.
But to ignite that energy with the 30 churches.
I have consulted with them, Jan. We have spoken. I have actually challenged them. I think that the faith-based community is going to play a very integral part on where do we go from here. Some of our greatest times in history was when the church was leading. And today we need them not only to be in a leadership capacity, but in a good partnership. And the community of interest as it relates to the Alliance, the direct community of interest, I believe that all the resources that are necessary are there and available, but they're not motivated. So when you look at resources in the area of education and trying to reform some of these schools, healthcare and trying to live healthier lives, legal and trying to get people's business and families in order, all of those resources are there. I just think this community needs to see some good proven leadership working, and that's where the Alliance will play great dividends, along with the political leadership and all others who are in leadership positions working together. So I'm encouraged and inspired. My pastor's a part of it. Of course, Pastor Lazard was elected their president, but Pastor Joyner, who's been around for quite some time, Ricky Carter, like I say, Robert Johnson Sr., Larry Lloyd. I mean, the list goes on and on. Some very
now, Brenda Hebert was on fire. I don't know if you heard about
that.
that.
I did. I actually saw some of the video, but
I don't know her. I want to meet her.
Matter of fact, Brenda's husband, her deceased husband, and I was in school together. I know Laniel Hebert, Brenda's former husband. We were in school together. So Brenda,
it was a great group. I mean, I was so inspired.
And it's going to grow.
God was behind it. You could feel it in the room. You could feel it. And I thought this is going to be a deal changer, I think, for our whole community.
It will be. Like I said, in particular, look out for the impact it has on motivating others to do. That is a huge thing. It's never about one person.
Right.
But if one could move 10, now you have something.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen here.
I can't believe we're almost out of time. They're signaling to me we're going to have to do a second show. I say that to some people. I would love to. But I'm going to get you back on in the near future if we can, because I want to talk as well about attracting business, residential, and we're not going to have time to do it.
Quality development. We're gonna tag a show called Quality Development.
Okay.
Market rate housing, upscale retail, and that's going to have an impact on traffic all over the city, because we won't have to cross town to get our goods and services.
Right. But will you come back soon?
As soon as we can.
Okay. And you're going to be talking at our March 16th meeting. Upper Lafayette has a Wednesday, March 16th meeting. We're going to be focused on the I-49 connector. So I want to thank you, too, for making time to join us for that. And I just can't believe this.
Yeah.
This was great. Gosh. I want to thank you for joining us today. Our guest has been Kenneth Boudreau, District 4, Lafayette City Parish Councilman. I'm Jan Swift of Upper Lafayette Economic Development. You can see this show and all of our shows on our website at upperlafayette.com. And they also air on the second and fourth Thursday of each month at 8:30 p.m. on AOC2. On behalf of our board, this is another episode of Upper Lafayette on the Move. Thank you for joining us.